Konami Studios. Hawkeye Freefall issue 5 has finally found its release date, coming this week. It was out on Wednesday. Man, I really like this book. There's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into the actual review. We'll just talk about this quickly. Obviously, a lot of comics have been pushed back, and because of that, Marvel has opted to take some of their titles and put them to a digital exclusive route only. I think this idea is okay. I wish instead of the way they handled it, they did what DC did and did digital exclusive comics. They reprinted, I say reprinted loosely, they took old stories that were already done and made them digital exclusive for kind of short stories, and they did the new Deceased thing. I wish Marvel did that instead of canceling printing for a couple of titles I was picking up in single issues and then just making them digital exclusive. Hawkeye Freefall was one of those books, which really sucks because I wanted to get all of these issues and now I can't. I can only get the trade, so that's a bummer. I wish they didn't do that, but I get why they did. If the sales aren't there, take it to digital only, drop the price down a bit. I hope they drop the price down a bit, and they should do it that way. I got this on Comixology. It was the normal price, but I hope they just drop it down because I think they're also canceling their actual website too, or their app. I think they're not going to use that anymore, so we'll see what happens there. But it's digital, you don't need to make the full price of a comic book. So Hawkeye Freefall takes place right after the last one let off, and I will say this about the issue: not my favorite issue of the run so far, but I do like what this is setting up. This is setting up a lot of stuff we're going to see going forward in this series. We're getting stuff with the Kingpin, we're getting stuff with Bullseye, we're getting more stuff with the Hood, and Clint is kind of going around in all these different areas, unsure of how he is in control, because he is so far from in control, it's funny. This issue kind of starts with Clint dressing up as Ronin, and he's asking to kind of get help from Wilson Fisk in order to take certain things down with the Hood. Fisk says we can do it, and we can do it this certain way. I got a guy here who can help us. His name is Count Nefario, which I have some okay feelings with that character. I'm amazed they're using him. Clint's getting a lot of random characters thrown at him in this book, which I kind of like to see. And seeing Count Nefario is kind of pretty cool, so I like where that's going. Clint kind of just says, I don't want to do the dealing this way, so I'm out, okay? I'll do it my way. If I need you, I'll call you. And turns out he does need him, and he gets some help from Wilson Fisk to do a little kind of just not investigating, but just get some dirt on the Hood and be like, no, you're not going to do it this way. I'm coming after you. Unless you want to make this a big public incident and go against some of the bigger gangsters here in New York, the Hood, you're going to step the F away because I'm Hawkeye, I'm Ronin. You can't mess with me. You're going down. So now Clint is in debt to Wilson Fisk, and that's going to come back later. I feel like that's going to come back later for maybe an arc of the book, and we're just going to see what he has to do for Wilson, because that's going to be really fun to see. What I like, too, is just the way Clint is being handled at this point. I think Matthew Rosenberg really knows what this character needs in order to be relevant and interesting, because when you look at some of the Fraction and Aja stuff, it's good, but it also handles Clint a different way than this. Matthew's Clint is a lot more capable, but he's also not the smartest guy in the room, which I like to see. He's a little more of a scrapper or a scavenger type character, where he's just kind of pulling all the pieces together that are laid out in front of him instead of actually doing all the work himself, which I kind of like to see. That's pretty cool. I will say one of my favorite parts of this book too was Linda Carter gets a big moment for herself there, because Spider-Man gets Captain America and they go talk to Clint what are you doing? You are not doing great here, bud. You're doing some illegal shadings. You got to tell us what's up, what's going on. And then Linda just kind of comes to him and says, Clint is kind of an idiot, but he's helped you guys in so many occasions, and he would risk his life to save you. Why can't you give him the benefit of the doubt just because he's not on your level, even though he should be? He's Hawkeye, for crying out loud. They should be marketing him as being one of the biggest characters in Marvel Comics, but they're not. I don't know why. Because he's a digital exclusive character. I don't get it. So give him the benefit of the doubt here. Leave him alone. You don't need to lecture him every time he does something, even if it's a lot of work. He wants to sell his building, he can sell his building. And then it's just kind of it takes that to kind of get Captain America to realize, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm not giving Clint the benefit of the doubt for what he's doing here. So maybe I should. I would probably be nicer to Clint. I mean, the guy's helped me countless times. So he just kind of stops, and Spider-Man's like, what, we're just going to let him go? And for now, yes, they're just going to let him go. So having that interaction, I think, was really nice. It's great to see what's going to happen with the Linda and Clint relationship, even though Linda kind of says, this is goodbye, I don't want to see you anymore. I really hope something comes of that, because she's a really interesting character, and I think Matthew Rosenberg's doing some great stuff with her that I like to see. So we do get a couple of interesting teases for the end of this issue that's going to lead, I think, into the next big storyline going forward. Bullseye kills the Clint Skrull impersonator, which is kind of cool. I mean, that was kind of obvious. We're going to do that with Bullseye. Bullseye is a very good character to make a villain for Clint, I think, especially given the Dark Avengers era when he was Hawkeye. So I think that's pretty cool. And the book ends with kind of... it looks like Bryce, who's the kid living with Clint and helping him out. They used to work for the Hood. It looks like Bryce might be killed or severely injured. I think he's just injured. I think it's Bullseye just saying, you want to come at me? Let's do this. I'm going to take the Ronin costume. I'm going to ruin your career as Ronin. So wear this stupid costume of Bullseye, and then we're going to fight. I think that's very interesting. And it's a great place to take Clint. Again, I think that's a really cool area that I'm excited to see where it goes. So Hawkeye issue 5. This is a good book. I think it's really fun. I hope it sells better on the digital exclusive if that's the route they want to go. Everybody should pick up the prints of this book when they're collected in the trade paperbacks, because it's definitely worth your time. And I think it's going to be one a lot of people should gravitate to. I love the Ant-Man book. I love the Hawkeye Freefall book. I haven't read any of the other ones, like I think was it Ironheart and Avengers of the Wasteland. I've also went to digital only. I hope this works for Marvel. I don't currently like what's going on there, but it's okay. So Hawkeye Freefall, number 5, it's definitely a good book. It sets up a lot of stuff coming forward, and as your classic Clint Barton fun, I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and this review, and I'll catch you in the next one. Before that, though, you can check me out on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter. You can email me for any information or just if you want to talk about stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Good luck.